Access Across Arizona allows us to travel to the 15 different counties in Arizona and find new, fresh voices and underreported stories.
It's been a great opportunity to travel to places we haven't been to before and talk to people we haven't heard from until now.
With our new technology, we're now able to deliver stories directly to you from across Arizona.
Live in Mojave County, reporting live from Prescott,
live in Parker, Arizona.
Cronkite News brings you Access Across Arizona.
Welcome to this Cronkite News special. I'm Lauren Hanley. Thanks for joining us. Cronkite News is committed to bringing you stories important to all Arizonans, from border issues to wildfire dangers, from water resources to the tourism economy. Our reporters crisscross the state to cover Arizona like no other media organization can. Over the next half hour, we'll highlight some of the top stories as we bring you Access Across Arizona.
There's a new focus on the plight of migrant workers, all because of a letter a group of students in Nogales wrote to the Pope, and Pope Francis wrote back. As part of our Cronkite News commitment to bring you Access Across Arizona, I traveled with the students across the border as they served food to recently deported Latinos. The students go to school on the Arizona side of Nogales, but walk across the border to help those people recently deported. Their letter to Pope Francis touched not only the hearts of those in Vatican City, but around the world.
Dear brother, your letter and those of these students from Lourdes Catholic School in Nogales have touched my heart because of the drama they describe, but also because of the hope they manifest.
High school students at Lourdes Catholic School are part of the Keno Border Initiative, a group that works to unite and serve two border communities. Faculty at the school say that more than 60% of these kids cross the border every day just to come to school. But the Keno teens did not recognize the problem until joining the club.
These people aren't here just to damage the country. They're not. It's not their intent. Keno teens really made me think about that. There's a lot of good people getting treated badly.
I see two cities with great economic opportunity.
In addition to national presentations, advocacy work, and holiday activities, the Keno teens will visit the Comedor at least once a month to provide comfort and support for Mexican and South American migrants.
One powerful way we do that is not only by the services we provide, but also by the way we serve people. In our center, when we serve a meal, there's no soup line, so the migrants don't get up and walk through a line and receive the meal, but we serve them.
Father Sean says that the Keno Border Initiative served almost 39,000 meals last year, and that the letter from Pope Francis will serve as motivation and a reminder that the small city of Nogales is making a big difference.
It's very overwhelming, I guess. The next thing would be meeting him.
And if they receive enough funding, meeting him is just what they'll try to do when Pope Francis makes a visit to the States. The group is raising money to travel to Washington, D.C. in September when the Pope is scheduled to address Congress.
7 surveillance towers are being built along the Arizona-Mexico border as a part of the program called the Integrated Fixed Tower System. Cronkite News reporter Imelda Mejia spoke with Border Patrol officials and joins us live in the broadcast center.
Yes, the towers have a day camera, a night camera, a radar, and a laser pointer to help Border Patrol officials identify anyone smuggling drugs or undocumented immigrants north of the border. I traveled down to the border to see the towers in action near Nogales and the possible impact on Arizona's southern communities.
The Integrated Fixed Tower System is a network of 7 towers with cameras going up around Santa Cruz County. But residents near the border are concerned about possible abuse of the technology in the towers.
I just hope that they don't, cross that line from our private lives, and when I say hope, I mean I certainly demand that.
A tower already stands a few miles off the I-19. However, most are concerned about the one under construction near the I-19 checkpoint because of its closeness to homes. But Border Patrol says that particular tower is the most important.
And when we have a checkpoint, it's always good if we can find some way to watch from a high point around the checkpoint to see who's going around it.
Lawson says residents shouldn't worry about invasion of privacy.
And we're looking for what's coming up from the outskirts. We have no interest in what's going on within the community.
Arizona Border Patrol officials say the towers will allow them to see a larger area instead of being concentrated to a tiny little area they would be seeing if they were on foot, by vehicle, or by helicopter.
With the GPS in the towers, agents will know the exact spot of smuggling activity.
The advantage of these towers is that the signals from each one of them is being sent to the Nogales Border Patrol station so that one agent can look at the outputs of several towers at the same time.
However, the towers are not expected to be effective for long.
Ultimately, what will probably happen is we'll have a lot of success with these cameras and radar systems until our adversary figures out exactly what they have to do to work around them, and then it's always a game of cat and mouse.
Border Patrol said it will be ready with a plan B when that time comes.
The towers will be tested to make sure they are working properly before more than the proposed 7 are built. U.S. Customs and Border Patrol officials say they hope to have all the towers up by the end of 2016, but they acknowledge that time frame is an aggressive schedule and plans could change depending on how testing goes. Live in the broadcast center, Imelda Mejia, Cronkite News.
Well, throwing paper or small trash on the ground is a small issue in comparison to what rural towns and communities are dealing with here in the state. Tonight in our Access Across Arizona initiative, we're taking a closer look at the growing problem of desert dumping. Tonight we take you to La Paz County, where Cronkite News reporter Ryan Hale is live in Ehrenberg, Arizona, just across the border from Blythe. It's a popular thoroughfare for drivers and dumpers. Ryan?
From refrigerators and washers to couches and even boats. These are just a few things that you may see lying in the desert as you drive through small rural communities here in Arizona. Desert dumping, which is illegal, is an issue that state officials and residents are working hard to solve.
It's a big problem.
It's a bad problem.
Illegal dumping, an unsightly and unhealthy problem.
These areas also tend to be, they attract vectors like rodents and things like that. I mean, you've got several problems in play here.
The biggest issue is that monitoring desert dumping is nearly impossible, especially with an extreme lack of funding.
We are basically in just an advisory role now.
In the La Paz County budget, there is no money set aside to help clean up desert dumping, and that's where the counties come in.
We'd like to see solutions that come from the local municipalities and unincorporated areas, counties, as to come up with creative ideas as to how to deal with it.
Wood, glass, trash, Ehrenberg has seen it all. But thanks to the La Paz County cleanup days, they are starting to see a lot less of it now.
What we do is we have a cleanup.
An annual cleanup day, free to any resident to come and dump whatever they don't want.
We brought in our garbage that was laying around the yard.
Longtime La Paz County resident Harry Va says the cleanup days are helping.
I was down here back in the 70s, and in my opinion, it's way cleaner than it's ever been.
But county and state officials say desert dumping is a huge statewide issue with few viable solutions.
They have their signs up, but they're few and far between, and people just go ahead and just abuse it and use it anyways.
We don't have the financial wherewithal to do anything financially on the problem.
The cleanup days here in Ehrenberg were pretty successful as the community filled up about 8 large dumpsters full of metal and trash. La Paz County has been putting on these cleanup days for about 10 years now as they continue to try and put a stop to desert dumping. Live in Ehrenberg, Ryan Hale, Cronkite News.
The value of water has always been high, especially here in Arizona. Deciding who gets those water rights has been an ongoing battle and has angered some in the rural parts of our state. Reporter Mariah Ellis went to Greenlee County to discuss these issues and how they could be affecting the state. She talked to farmers in Duncan, Arizona.
This is very emotional for me because this was my father's farm. And I'm going to feel like a big failure if we can't keep it as a farm.
Some of the farmers near Duncan, Arizona are worried to see the end of a long family business.
We're frustrated. Like I said, I don't want to show how mad I really am. But it is frustrating.
Both the Tyler and Lunt families have used the well water right under their land for more than 50 years. But now they're being told to stop.
They claim that we're using somebody else's water, not our own.
Attorneys for the Gila River Indian community argue the farmers have been drilling water that could be coming from the Gila River itself. However, determining the difference between river water and well water makes the situation complicated.
And we didn't think this problem was going to bother us because our ground wasn't river water. It was all underground.
The forbearance agreement is an attempt to resolve those complications, saying any land without approval from the federal district court cannot be irrigated.
We have these fields here that I can't irrigate on.
The governor of the Gila River Indian community says it's important to follow these regulations.
We know from our own history that protecting the waters of the Gila River from misappropriation upstream is necessary to preserve our culture, our agricultural economy, and our ongoing way of life into the future. For the Gila River Indian community, water is life.
But Greenlee County Supervisor Robert Cordell is worried, not only for the farmers near Duncan, but for the rest of Arizona.
The trickle-down effect of the economics of it. These people go out of business. It's not only them affected, it's the truckers, it's the gas that's bought.
Farmers like the Tyler and Lunt families remain in an ongoing struggle, but they continue to be hopeful.
I keep telling my family that one of these days it's got to turn around because people still got to eat. This is home and always will be. We don't plan on going that.
However, the governor of the Gila River Indian community reassures that there will not be a loss of agriculture in the state of Arizona.
As I said, we were the breadbasket of the region historically, and we want to be the breadbasket of the region in the future. We're looking at ways where it's not only benefiting our community, but benefiting the surrounding communities.
Although there are losses, after years of fighting to regain their water rights, the Gila River Indian community hopes that Greenlee will one day be an example to follow in the future. In Duncan, Mariah Ellis, Cronkite News.
The governor of the Gila River community, Stephen Lewis, says that recognizing everyone's rights under the law is critical in order to move forward. By protecting the water now, the river can be an ongoing resource for all of Arizona to use in the future.
Even when wildfires are delayed, their impacts can be just as devastating. As part of our Access Across Arizona series, we take you to Cochise County, where in 2011, a major fire cost 40 families their homes. Sierra Vista is located in Cochise County in the far southeast corner of Arizona. Reporters Nicole Stein and Justin McDuffie traveled to Sierra Vista to talk to a community devastated by a wildfire.
We're here in Cochise County, where 4 years ago, a wildfire nearly took out an entire town, and residents here are still recovering.
That fire just almost disintegrated our town.
It was spot fires all across there, and that went up in 12 minutes, the whole hillside.
Brush like this and weather conditions were a major contributing factor to the Monument Fire back in 2011 that burned nearly 38,000 acres here in Cochise County.
When the fire started, we had pretty much the worst conditions we could ask for managing a fire.
The wildfire lasted for a full month before monsoon storms helped put it out. But with that rain came flooding. With no brush or trees to help soak up that water, it creates its own path.
It went through my bottom. We have a two-story house. In the bottom door, there was water up about 3 feet on the door, and then it started coming through the door.
Beatty says if he did not stay on his property and protect it, there would have been a lot more damage done. However, officials don't encourage staying when they ask you to evacuate.
There is a reason why we ask for these things. Number one, we can't do our job suppressing the fire when we have in the back of our mind there's people up there.
That being said, taking care of your property before fires start is crucial. Due to the urgent nature of forest fires, officials cannot answer every house call.
We can't take care of it for you. You have to take care of your own property.
That means clearing dry brush and creating defensible space around your home. Near Sierra Vista, Nicole Stein, Cronkite News.
National parks should be a point of pride for our country, but nearly all of them need work.
Billions of dollars in money that should go to maintenance and repairs wasn't given. That's according to the recently released deferred maintenance statistics.
Cronkite News reporter Sunny Scott looked into the Arizona National Parks and traveled down to Coolidge to see how one national park on that list is dealing with the lack of assistance.
Maria, the National Park Service says the national total of
deferred maintenance is an estimated $11.5 billion worth of needed maintenance projects just last year due to the lack of funding. More than $516 million of that is at Arizona facilities.
At Casa Grande Ruins National Monument, more people are visiting the park now that it's springtime. Visitors know it's important for the parks to stay up with their maintenance on infrastructure, visitor centers, trails, and campgrounds.
Somebody's got to come up with the money to basically support the national parks and all of the resources that are, that they need and stuff with campgrounds and roads and things like that.
Here in Arizona, the top 5 parks with the highest amount of deferred maintenance are the Grand Canyon, Petrified Forest National Park, Glen Canyon National Recreation Area, Saguaro National Park, and the Wuputki National Monument. At the ruins, there are over $2 million.
And what that means is there's $2 million worth of projects here in the park that need work, and they're going to continue growing worse.
The main things that need maintenance at the monument are the ruins itself, the road leading into the park, walls around the monument, and missing pieces from their outside roof. Carney says there are over $700,000 for their roads and a little under $700,000 for their buildings in deferred maintenance.
The ruins, actually, we apply treatments to those to make sure that they're just not falling to the ground. And if they fall to the ground, well, there goes the resource that everybody comes here to see.
The city says the deferred maintenance problem at the ruins needs attention quickly before more changes come to the park.
Representatives Kirkpatrick and Kozar and Senator McCain that are trying to expand the ruins. They've got a bill in place that they're trying to expand the ruins, which will directly impact the city of Coolidge.
Carney would also like to have the repairs made before the park's centennial next year.
To take some money and bring things back up to speed so that the public can come and see their parks, and especially during our centennial, and get rid of some of that backlog and do the best we can.
Now, the report released by the National Park Service is also asking Congress for a budget request for operational funding, and with that is $300 million annually for the next 3 years. Reporting live in Coolidge, I'm Sonny Scott, Cronkite News.
A group effort is underway in southeastern Arizona to combat the negative effects 2 invasive species will have and will cause in southeastern Arizona. Cronkite News reporter Brenda Carrasco traveled to Graham County and the town of Fort Thomas and found out what 2 organizations are doing to fix the environmental problem.
These workers aren't your typical landscapers. Armed with chainsaws and other tools, these volunteers for the Arizona Conservation Corps are on a mission to help save a threatened ecosystem in Safford.
A lot of people that get attracted to conservation work love working with their hands. They're going back into, let's say, just being outside, getting dirty. You're dirty every day. You camp for 9 days straight without a shower. But in the long run, when you're with a group of 8 or 6, you all share that same passion.
Volunteers like Marcy Caballero Reynolds are working with the Gila Watershed Partnership to help prepare for the arrival of the tamarisk beetle, a species of beetle that will eventually kill off the invasive salt cedar trees found in areas all over the southwest U.S.
They come from another country, another continent, and they have no predators here. We have some salty soils here, so they pull up that salt up into their leaves, and then they weep that salt back out on the surface of the ground, which then sterilizes the ground makes it impossible for other plants to live.
The salt cedars are so resilient and invasive that in 2001, the USDA approved the use of the tamarisk beetle as a biological control agent to help defoliate and eventually kill the trees.
They've been working their way to Arizona, and we expect them here in 3 to 4 years in this part of Arizona. And when they come here, they have a way of just devastating, eating up all of the vegetation on the salt cedars, because that's what the bugs do.
But the beetles will in turn create a new challenge. Killing the salt cedars also means killing the home of 2 endangered species.
This is critical habitat, designated critical habitat for southwest willow flycatcher and the western yellow-billed cuckoo. So those birds both live in native plants here. But since the salt cedar has come in and taken over, the birds have adapted and now live in the salt cedars.
Without the salt cedars, the birds wouldn't have anywhere to nest and grow their already threatened numbers. So volunteers are growing native plants inside this Safford greenhouse until these new homes are ready for transplant at the project site.
In the greenhouse specifically, out there we've moved out a bunch of saccatone. Giant saccatone and alkali saccatone.
Making room for the new trees means cutting down hundreds of tamarisk trees with the help of chainsaws and heavy machinery.
Areas like these are just small sections of tamarisk trees that have already been cleared. The partnership is looking to clear a total of 200 acres for the remainder of their 5-year project.
We're in a position in our lifetime where we need to protect as much as that we can, our resources and everything. And even though this site we're taking all these trees down, in the process, you know that you are doing something better for the environment.
Change that the volunteers and the partnership hope will save the birds for the next generations to come.
Spring breakers have notoriously bad reputation, but one popular party destination in Arizona finds these college students actually do good. Cronkite News reporter Lauren Klenda is in Mojave County, and she found out the economy is booming as much as the music.
I'm here in Lake Havasu City, and it is a gorgeous day. The sun is shining, the sand is warm, and as you can see around me, people are enjoying themselves. And last month, nearly 50,000 visitors were here doing the same thing.
I think the kids get a bad rap. It's a positive experience for 99% of the people that live here year-round.
For residents and the economy alike, Michael Bonney with the Lake Havasu City Hospitality Association says spring break actually gives the city positive exposure.
And the better experience that we can show the spring breakers, the more opportunity that we have to expand on that.
Bonney says the ultimate goal is that people who visit will eventually want to come back permanently. According to the U.S. Census, Lake Havasu's population has increased by 26% since 2000. Companies like Summer Winter Action Tours, also known as SWAT, say their vacation packages bring thousands of college students from across the nation to Lake Havasu.
Our intent is not to come in to Havasu and disrupt normal lifestyles. It's to try to figure out how to coexist.
Over the years, the city says it's worked with spring breakers and the companies that help bring them.
If they need something done or we're not doing it right, we make that change right away.
The city says one of the biggest issues is the noise that carries through the residential areas, coming from the large-scale events and concerts.
We're in a desert, you shout too loudly at nighttime. It'll carry clear across the lake.
Although SWAT says it's never received a formal citation for being outside the decibel level, this year they worked with the Sheriff's Department to cut the amount of complaints, investing nearly $250,000 in stage renovations to stifle the noise.
Because I believe this is the perfect place for spring break and been able to nurture that relationship.
We would be hard-pressed to replace that revenue in the city without this, if we didn't have the spring breakers, quite frankly.
This resort alone had around 2,500 visitors over the spring break weeks, and people are still here soaking up the sun. Live in Lake Havasu City, Lauren Klenda, Cronkite News.
Navajo County officials are making several reconstruction plans to rebuild the Winslow Levee in an effort to protect the historic Route 66. As part of our Access Across Arizona commitment, Cronkite News reporter Maria Thompson traveled to Winslow to find out more about the county's plan and why rebuilding the levee is crucial to the city's survival.
Sometimes we forget we do have a history here too, and the Mother Road is part of that.
Winslow, Arizona sits in a floodplain with a 7-mile levee that protects the town from the Little Colorado River. 2 major floods in 1993 and 2003 damaged the levee, and in 2008 it was decertified by the Federal Emergency Management Agency.
High schools, elementary schools, public safety, the local government that are situated in the flood zone. And that's where our main concern is at this time.
The Navajo County Board of Supervisors recently approved a $66.2 million plan to rehabilitate the levee. Aside from protecting the city and its historic landmarks, the city says a rebuilt levee would prevent more than 6,000 property owners from paying mandatory and costly flood insurance premiums.
Bringing a new company into Winslow is difficult right now because they don't want to locate in a floodplain where they have to pay higher insurance premiums. and risk flood damage to try and operate a business.
The budget proposal calls for several points of action, including rebuilding the Winslow Levee where I'm standing and building new levees parallel to Interstate 40. These are meant to preserve the ruins at Himalabee State Park and the bridges on Route 66. However, some Winslow locals think differently about the plan.
It's the federal government spending way too much money that we don't have on a project that is, pardon my language.
Some locals feel that hiring a contractor could get the job done more quickly and cheaply. However, Palkin says they need the best people to do the job.
Nobody knows levees better in the entire world than the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers.
Winslow is a hub of transportation for all of northern Arizona. It is home to a major transcontinental railroad, and Interstate 40 passes through the city. Palkin stresses that a flood could wipe out all transportation access in the area, affecting not only the town, but the entire state as well.
Our transportation infrastructure will be not only impacted, probably crippled. If one of those floods came in at the south end of the levee, it would basically wipe out all of that infrastructure.
Construction is not expected to begin until 2020. The federal government will cover 65% of the budget plan. The remaining funds will be split between the city of Winslow and Navajo County. In Winslow, Maria Thompson, Cronkite News.
Reaching Arizona's communities uncovered by mainstream media. Discovering the untold stories of our state's women, men, children, and change makers.
We're taking a look at what's making news across Arizona.
This is the Cronkite News Initiative, Access Across Arizona. Live coverage of topics that matter and people who make a difference. Delivered to the homes of Arizona PBS viewers like you. Access Across Arizona is made possible by Women and Philanthropy.
Our Cronkite News team sends another special thanks to ASU Women in Philanthropy. Their grant made this Access Across Arizona initiative possible and will continue to fund our reporting efforts in the years ahead. This is the final newscast of the spring semester here on 8HD, but our newsrooms will work through the summer, delivering top Arizona news on CronkiteNewsOnline.com. Thanks for choosing Cronkite News. Have a good night.